you ever met someone who looks straight at you and says they can see something around you? That they know your past, that you carry a shadow, and your skin turns cold even while part of you wants to believe. Have you ever noticed that the more anxious you are, the more sleepless you become, the closer your relationship or your life feels to the edge, the easier it is for strange, confident words to pull you forward like a rope? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are not here for creepy entertainment, and we are not here for magical performance. We are here for something very real, and for some people, very dangerous. When you meet a person who claims special powers, secret vision, possession removal, energy cleansing, fate reversal, or a private shortcut to awakening, what you do next can either protect your life or quietly hand your life to someone who knows exactly how to control a vulnerable heart. I want to give you two main ideas at the start so you can hold the whole story with clarity. 1. The biggest risk is not whether mysterious experiences exist. The world is vast, and human understanding is limited. The real risk is when someone uses mystery to create fear, shame, isolation, and dependence, then demands money, obedience, secrecy, or even your body in exchange for safety. 2. The strongest protection is not arguing online about whether the supernatural is real. The strongest protection is right view, grounded practice, and a steady heart. When you return to ethics, compassion, and wisdom, you become harder to manipulate. You stop begging for a savior, and you stop turning your destiny into someone else's business. Now let me tell you a story. I will not use real names. I will call the main character Elena. Elena was not a foolish person. That is the first thing you need to understand, because the mind loves to judge victims. The judging mind wants distance. It wants to believe this could never happen to me. That belief feels safe, but it is dangerous because it makes you blind to your own weak moments. Anyone can be pulled when they are tired enough, lonely enough, ashamed enough, or desperate enough. Elena had a respectable job. She had a husband who cared for her. She had a family that was not perfect but not cruel. On the outside, her life looked stable. On the inside, her heart was not satisfied. She carried a hunger that many people carry but do not name clearly. She wanted a more impressive position, a more glamorous identity, a feeling that she was special, chosen, above ordinary life. This hunger did not look like greed in her own mind. It looked like ambition. It looked like self-improvement. It looked like I deserve better. That is how the mind disguises craving. Craving rarely introduces itself honestly. It arrives wearing the mask of dignity. Over time, Elena made a choice that tilted her inner world. It was not one dramatic explosion. It was a gradual compromise. She stepped into an improper relationship with a leader at work. She told herself it was complicated. She told herself it was love. She told herself it was strategy. She told herself she was finally being seen. But deep inside, another voice whispered that something was off. And when you keep ignoring that inner warning, you do not just break a rule. You damage your own alignment. You teach your mind to lie to itself. You train the nervous system to live with tension. You plant seeds of fear, secrecy, and shame. At first, Elena felt excitement. Then the excitement turned into anxiety. Then the anxiety turned into insomnia. Her body began to complain, not with words, but with symptoms: headaches, tight chest, short breath, digestive problems, mood swings, a feeling of being haunted by her own thoughts. Many people think their body is only physical, But your body is also your conscience. When you live against your deeper values, the mind can pretend, but the body often refuses to cooperate. Elena started sleeping less and less. Some nights she slept 2 hours. Some nights she stared at the ceiling until sunrise. Her work performance dropped. Her emotional stability collapsed. She became suspicious, easily triggered, easily panicked. The smallest comment felt like an attack. The smallest delay felt like catastrophe. This is the point where many people become vulnerable to the promise of a shortcut. When a person is stable, they can face pain and solve problems step by step. When a person is exhausted, they start looking for one button that fixes everything. A miracle, a secret method, a special person who sees what no one else sees. Elena did not tell her husband the real cause of her collapse. She could not. Shame is a prison that locks the door from the inside. She also did not seek professional help early because she feared being judged and she feared being exposed. So she drifted. Then, like a lot of people drifting, she ended up in the same marketplace many desperate hearts end up in. A marketplace of mystery. It started harmlessly. A friend mentioned someone who was very accurate, someone who could see things, someone who could tell you what was attached to you, someone who could remove it. Elena laughed at first. Then she remembered her sleepless nights. She remembered the tightness in her chest. She remembered the strange feeling of being watched by her own thoughts. She thought, what if there is something around me? What if I am cursed? What if I need cleansing? This is how fear grows legs. She went to meet the person. I will call him Master K. Master K did not look like a cartoon villain. He looked like someone you might trust at first glance. Calm voice, slow movements, confident eye contact. He spoke in a way that made people feel he knew more than them. That is a powerful drug for insecure minds. When your inner world is chaotic, you crave someone who sounds certain. Elena sat down. Before she could explain much, Master K looked at her and said he could see her aura was disturbed. He said she carried heavy energy. He said there was a presence around her. He said it was not just stress. He said she had been mocked. Elena felt her stomach drop. Her mind screamed, how does he know? In truth, he did not know her secrets. He knew human patterns. He knew that anxious people always feel haunted. He knew that sleepless people always feel something is wrong. He knew that shame makes people easy to control. He asked a few questions that sounded tearing. He watched her face carefully. He listened to her hesitations. He used her own reactions to guide his next words. This is a classic manipulation pattern. It feels supernatural to the person being read, but it is often a mix of psychology, suggestion, and the victim filling in gaps with their own fear. Master K said Elena had a spiritual problem that doctors could not fix. He said her condition would worsen if she did not act quickly. He said the presence could damage her family. He said it could spread. Notice the strategy. When someone claims your problem is beyond ordinary help, they isolate you from ordinary support. When they create urgency, they reduce your ability to think. When they threaten your family, they hook your love and your guilt. Elena started crying. She felt relief and terror at the same time. Relief because someone gave her an explanation. Terror because the explanation was frightening. Then Master K offered the rescue. He said he could help, but it would take rituals. It would take offerings. It would take commitment. He said she must not tell skeptical people, because skeptical people would ruin the energy work. He said she must trust him completely. That is the moment the trap begins to close. Elena paid for the first session. The price felt high, but Her fear was higher. After the session, she felt a temporary lightness, not because an entity was removed, because her own nervous system received attention, structure, and hope. Hope alone can calm the body for a while. Placebo is not fake. It is the mind and body responding to expectation. But temporary relief can become the bait that keeps you returning. A few days later, Ilana felt anxious again. Master K said that was proof the presence was strong. He said she needed more sessions. He increased the cost. He also increased the control. He told her to avoid certain people. He told her to stop talking to friends who questioned him. He told her husband had negative energy and might block her healing. Now Elena was not just paying money. She was paying with her connections. This is how spiritual abuse grows. First, they claim special knowledge. Then they create fear. Then they sell protection. Then they isolate you. Then they become your only source of safety. Over weeks, Ilana became a different person. She stopped trusting her own judgment. She started checking everything with Master K. If she had a bad dream, she called him. If she had a headache, she called him. If she argued with her husband, she called him. Her life became a constant search for interpretation. That is not awakening. That is dependence. Her husband noticed she was distant. He asked questions. Ilana snapped at him. She said he did not understand. She said he was blocking her healing. She said he had to respect her path. Her husband felt confused and hurt. He wanted to help, but the more he tried, the more Elena pulled away. And this is the tragedy. I manipulator often positions loving family as the enemy, because family love threatens the control. Master K also used shame. He said Elena's problem came from bad karma, and the only way to fix it was through his methods. He implied she was spiritually dirty. He implied she was chosen for a hard cleansing. He made her feel special and disgusting at the same time. Special and disgusting is an emotional cage. If you feel special, you keep returning. If you feel disgusting, you feel you cannot go back to normal people. You feel only the special master can tolerate you. That is psychological control disguised as spiritual guidance. At some point, Master K demanded something more. It might not be identical in every case, but the pattern is common. He framed it as a necessary spiritual procedure, a secret method, a private purification, a transfer of energy. He suggested that ordinary moral rules did not apply because this was higher work. This is where some victims lose not only money, but dignity, safety, and bodily autonomy. Ilana felt sick inside, but she was too afraid to refuse. She believed refusal would bring disaster. She believed he was the only one who could protect her. She believed she was already contaminated. She believed she had no choice. This is why I keep saying the most dangerous part is not the mystery. The most dangerous part is fear used as a leash. Over time, Ilana's mental state collapsed. She became depressed. She became paranoid. She felt trapped. She felt ashamed. She began having thoughts of ending her life, not because she wanted to die, but because she could not see a way out. When the mind is cornered, it mistakes escape for solution. If you are listening to this and you recognize that kind of cornered feeling in yourself or someone you love, please take it seriously. Real help exists. Professional help exists. Safe spiritual communities exist. You do not need to stay inside a private cage with someone who demands secrecy and obedience. Now, when people hear a story like Elena, they often get angry and ask, how can someone fall this far? I want you to pause and look deeper. Elena was not worshipping magic for fun. Elena was trying to survive. She was sleepless. She was ashamed. She was isolated. She was scared. She wanted to believe there was still hope. She wanted to believe she could be saved without being exposed. This is why compassion matters. Not naive compassion that excuses harm, but compassion that understands vulnerability. When you understand vulnerability, you stop judging victims and you start protecting people. The story does not end here, because Elena did not die. A turning point arrived, and this turning point is the part that carries the deepest teaching. One day, Elena reached a level of despair where even the master could not calm her. She had paid too much. She had lost too much. She felt her life was shrinking into a dark room. She considered ending everything. In that moment, she met someone different. I will call this person Teacher L. Teacher L did not speak in mysterious riddles. Teacher L did not claim secret powers. Teacher L did not threaten Elena with disaster. Teacher L did not demand money or secrecy. Teacher L listened calmly and then asked Elena a simple question. What have you been giving away? Elena started talking about money. Teacher L nodded. Yes, money. What else? Elena paused. Her throat tightened. Then she whispered, my mind. Teacher L nodded again. Yes, your mind. What else? Elena began crying. She said, my dignity, my judgment, my relationships, my life. Teacher L said something that Elena had not heard in a long time. You can take it back. Those 4 words changed everything. You can take it back. Teacher L explained that true practice does not make you smaller. True practice makes you clearer. True practice does not isolate you from support. True practice reconnects you with healthy support. True practice does not demand you surrender your conscience. True practice strengthens conscience. Teacher L told Elena that if a person claims they are the only one who can save you, that is a red flag. If a person demands secrecy, that is a red flag. If a person makes you afraid to seek medical or psychological help, that is a red flag. If a person uses fear, shame, and urgency to control you, that is a red flag. If a person demands money in escalating amounts to prevent disaster, that is a red flag. If a person crosses sexual boundaries and calls it spiritual, that is a red flag. Teacher L did not speak with hate. Teacher L spoke with clarity. Clarity is what victims need. Hate can make victims defensive because it makes them feel foolish. Clarity makes victims feel capable. Teacher L also did something important. Teacher L did not argue about whether unseen phenomena exist. Teacher L focused on what matters. Does this path make you more ethical or less ethical? Does this path make you more stable or more fearful? Does this path make you more compassionate or more dependent? Does this path make you more responsible for your life or less? Notice how these questions return you to cause and effect. They return you to karma in a grounded way. If a practice makes you lie, isolate, and abandon your responsibilities, it is not a high path. It is a trap. Teacher L Guide at Elena Award simple steps. First, break the secrecy. Tell one safe person, not the whole world, just one safe person. When you break secrecy, the cage loses power. Second, seek professional help for sleep, anxiety, and depression. When the nervous system stabilizes, the mind can think. Third, return to basic ethical repair. Stop the actions that create shame. Repair what can be repaired. Apologize where appropriate. Make amends. This is not moral punishment. It is cleaning the heart. A cleaner heart sleeps better. Fourth, Practice a steady daily method that builds inner strength, not dependence. For Elena, that was returning to a simple form of recitation and mindfulness, not as magic, but as training. Training to return the mind to one wholesome anchor. Training to stop being dragged by fear. Fifth, rebuild human relationships with compassion, not by begging, but by showing consistent change. Show up. Be honest. Be humble. Be steady. Elena began doing these steps, not perfectly. Healing is not a straight line. Some days she trembled. Some nights she cried. Sometimes she felt shame like a wave. But she kept returning. She cut contact with Master K. That was not easy. When you are in a dependency bond, leaving feels like death. The body panics. The mind screams. Fear tries to pull you back. Teacher L warned her about that. The withdrawal is part of the process. Fear is not evidence you are wrong. Fear is the habit losing its grip. Elena also began facing the deeper root. The root that started her collapse. Her craving for status. Her secrecy. Her improper relationship. Her denial of conscience. This is the part many people skip. They want to be rescued from consequences without transforming the cause. But karma does not work that way. Cause and effect is not cruel. It is honest. If you want a different life, you need different causes. Elena ended the improper relationship. She confessed to her husband in a careful way, not to dump guilt, but to stop living to lives. Her husband was devastated. There were tears. There was anger. There were difficult months. I am not going to romanticize it. Some relationships do not survive betrayal. Some do, slowly, with deep effort. What matters here is Elena stopped running. She stopped hiding behind mystery. She stopped outsourcing her fate. She also began practicing kindness at home, not as performance, but as repair. She helped with family duties. She showed respect. She returned to ordinary care, the kind of ordinary care that spiritual fantasy often despises. The fantasy says you are above ordinary life. Real wisdom says ordinary life is the field of cultivation. Over time, something changed. Elena's sleep improved. Her panic reduced. Her mind became less haunted, not because a master removed an entity, but because she removed poison from her own daily living. This is the hidden truth. Many people feel haunted because they live in conflict with themselves. When you repair your integrity, the haunting reduces. After a long period, Elena began to speak about her experience to help others, not publicly at first, but to a few people quietly. She warned them gently. She did not shame them. She did not mock their beliefs. She pointed out the red flags. She encouraged them to keep their agency. Agency is the sacred word here. Never give away your agency. Any path that demands you surrender your agency is not liberation. It is a cage. Now, let us bring the teaching closer to your own life, because you might not meet a dramatic Master K, but you might meet softer versions. A person who says they can read your destiny and you must pay for protection. A person who says they can cleanse your energy but you must cut off your family. A person who says your illness is spiritual and you must stop medication. A person who says their visions are absolute and your doubts are proof you are blocked. A person who says you must obey or disaster will follow. The details change. The structure is the same. Fear, urgency, isolation, dependence, extraction. Now I want to go deeper into why this works on good people. Because once you understand the mechanics, you stop blaming yourself and you start guarding yourself skillfully. The first mechanic is uncertainty. When your life is uncertain, your mind craves certainty. A confident voice can feel like oxygen. Manipulators know this. They speak with certainty even when they know nothing. They use vague statements that you interpret personally. They let your mind do the work. Your mind fills the gaps with your own fear and your own secrets. Then you think they saw something. The second mechanic is shame. Shame makes you hide. When you hide, you cannot get healthy feedback. When you cannot get feedback, you become easier to control. A manipulator often senses shame quickly. They imply they understand your secret without naming it. You panic and believe they are powerful. Then you obey. The third mechanic is loneliness. Lonely people are not only lonely socially, they are lonely inside. They do not feel held by life. When someone offers attention and meaning, it feels like salvation. Even if the attention is controlling, it still feels like attention. This is why building healthy community is protective. A supported heart is harder to abduct. The fourth mechanic is desperation. Desperation makes you accept bad deals. When a person is drowning, they will grab a thorny branch. The branch hurts them, but they grab anyway. That is Elena. She was not chasing magic. She was grabbing hope. The fifth mechanic is the addiction to specialness. Some people are vulnerable because they want to be chosen. They want to feel they are not ordinary. A manipulator feeds that hunger by saying you are sensitive. You are gifted. You are targeted because you are special. That story feels flattering, so you accept the cage. Now let us connect this to real spiritual cultivation, because I do not want you to walk away thinking the answer is cynicism. Cynicism is also a cage. The answer is wisdom. In Buddhist language, the protection is often described as precepts, concentration, and wisdom. Precepts means you stop planting seeds that create fear and shame. When you stop lying, cheating, exploiting, and harming, your inner world becomes cleaner. A cleaner inner world is less vulnerable to manipulation. Concentration means you train the mind to stay steady. When a manipulator throws fear at you, your mind does not collapse instantly. You pause, you breathe, you observe. You do not obey the first wave. Wisdom means you see cause and effect. You stop looking for a person to fix your life. You start looking at what you repeatedly do, say, and think. You realize fate is not a spell someone casts on you. Fate is the harvest of repeated choices. In Chinese wisdom traditions, there is also a clear principle that the noble person cultivates the self, and the small person chases quick advantage. This is not about moral superiority. It is about stability. The more you chase shortcuts, the more you become exploitable. The more you cultivate character, the more you become free. So here is a grounded way to test whether a spiritual teacher, guide, or community is safe for you. Do you feel more clear, more responsible, more ethical, and more compassionate after contact with them? Do you feel more afraid, more dependent, more secretive, and more isolated after contact with them? If the second is true, step back. Do not argue. Step back. You might ask, what about stories of possession and strange phenomena? Here is the balanced view. It is possible for people to have experiences that feel beyond explanation. It is also possible for trauma, sleep deprivation, anxiety, depression, and dissociation to create experiences that feel uncanny. It is possible for suggestion and group dynamics to intensify symptoms. It is possible for a person to interpret ordinary symptoms as spiritual attack, then spiral. The key is not arguing about which explanation is true in every case. The key is choosing an approach that reduces suffering without creating a cage. A safe approach stabilizes sleep, stabilizes the nervous system, reconnects the person with support, and encourages ethical living, ungrounded practice. A dangerous approach isolates the person, inflames fear, and demands dependence. Now I want to share a longer reflection, because many of you watching have either been close to a trap like this, or you have watched someone you love drift into it, and you felt helpless. If you have watched a loved one get caught, you know how painful it is. You try to warn them, and they defend the manipulator. You present evidence and they say you do not understand. You get angry and they pull away more. So what do? First, do not shame them. Shame locks the cage tighter. If you call them stupid, they will cling to the manipulator to protect their pride. Second, speak to their feelings, not only their beliefs. Say you are worried about their fear, their sleep, their isolation. Say you miss them. Say you want them safe. Love creates a bridge. Third, ask simple questions that restore agency. Ask what the guide demands from them. Ask what happens if they disagree. Ask whether they are allowed to seek medical help. Ask whether they feel more free or more afraid. Fourth, offer alternatives, not only criticism. Offer to go with them to see a clinician. Offer to sit with them during a difficult night. Offer to help them find a healthy community. Offer a steady daily practice like gentle mindfulness, breath, or simple recitation if it fits their belief system. Fifth, be patient. Leaving a dependency bond is like quitting an addiction. The nervous system will resist. The mind will bargain. They may leave and return. If you stay calm and steady, you become a lighthouse. This is compassion with wisdom. Now let me share something personal in the way the channel host would, because I want to end this story with human warmth, not with cold warning. There was a time when I was not trapped by a dramatic master, but I was trapped by the same inner mechanism. I was exhausted, and I wanted someone to tell me what to do. I wanted certainty. I wanted a shortcut. I wanted a sign that everything would be okay without me having to face the messy work of change. And I remember how attractive it felt when someone spoke with absolute confidence, when they said they knew what was happening, when they said they had a method, when they said, "Trust me." What saved me was not brilliance. It was one quiet realization. Any path that asks me to abandon my own conscience is not a path to awakening. Any path that makes me afraid of asking questions is not a path to wisdom. Any path that makes me feel smaller and more dependent is not a path to freedom. So I stepped back. I returned to the basics: sleep, honest relationships, ethical choices, daily practice that was steady and boring in the best way. Breath, mindfulness, compassion, cause and effect. And slowly, life became clearer. That is why I am so serious about this topic, because the real danger is not only financial loss. The real danger is handing over your steering wheel. When you hand over your steering wheel, you can lose years. You can lose relationships. You can lose health. You can lose dignity. You can lose the simple joy of being an ordinary person who lives with a clean heart. And here is the deepest truth. If you want to change your life, you do not need a high-powered, mysterious person to control you. You need to return to your own mind and train it. You need to repair what you damaged. You need to stop planting painful seeds. You need to build merit through real actions. You need to cultivate patience and clarity. You need to practice compassion, especially toward yourself, because shame often drives people into these traps. Elena did not escape because she found a more powerful master. She escaped because she found a more grounded path. She learned to stop asking, "Who can save me?" She started asking, "What cause am I planting today?" That is karma. That is wisdom. That is awakening in daily life. Now let me close the story with a final scene that stays with me. 2 years after Elena broke free, she met Teacher Elle again. Elena looked healthier, not perfect, but alive. Her eyes looked more stable. Her voice sounded less rushed. She said something quietly. "I used to think spiritual power meant someone could see invisible things. Now I think real power is when you can face your own mind without running." That sentence is the real ending, because it gives you the true direction. Do not chase spectacle. Chase clarity. Do not chase secret shortcuts. Chase steady practice. Do not chase a savior. Chase your own awakening. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever met someone who used mystery to create fear and control? Have you ever felt tempted to hand your life to someone just because you were exhausted and desperate? Have you ever found your way back through grounded practice, ethics, and support? Share your story in the comments. Someone reading may be in their weakest moment tonight, and your words could be the rope that pulls them back to safety. If you want more long-form videos that blend practical discernment with compassion, karma, wisdom, and real cultivation, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment so more people can find this space. If you want to support deeper work and help keep these long videos coming, consider joining the membership. Your support helps build a steady community where we protect each other from traps and return again and again to the path of awakening. Every person carries a certain energy. Your focus, your dreams, your purpose. Bracelet is a physical reminder of that energy. Symbol you wear daily that pushes you to stay grounded, balanced, and aligned. If one of the bracelets caught your eye, you can order it through the link in the description and check more powerful styles on our homepage store. Choose the one that strengthens your journey.